Oh, what is happening, everybody? So I've made a lot of positive ROG Ally videos and positive Steam Deck videos and negative Steam Deck videos, but I haven't made a negative ROG Ally video yet. So I figured I'd add a realistic take on some of the headaches of owning an Asus ROG Ally. And there are specifically 10 things that just make me want to go back to my Steam Deck over my ROG Ally. 10 instances that makes me just look at my Steam Deck longing to play it opposed to my Ally because of some annoyances and features that it lacks that the Steam Deck excels at consistently. And let's just get right into this. So number 10 would be the Steam Deck's more straightforward power saving options. Obviously, the ROG Ally does have different modes and different ways to adjust the TDP with sleep mode, performance, and turbo mode, but they're not completely accessible right from the same menu. And while switching to the mode, there are some instances where it's a tad delayed, so it'll take a few seconds to change into turbo or performance mode. And that could be a bit annoying, but it doesn't take too long. The only thing that is annoying is that sometimes it does seem a bit unreliable because Armory Crate would take longer than usual, or just a strange amount of time to adjust the different performance modes. And with the TDP, you need to go into Command Center and change so many things just to adjust the TDP to what you want. But there are some great things about Armory Crate over the Steam Deck, like changing the VRAM, for instance. But with the Steam Deck, the power saving options are just there. You just need to press one button and you have your performance tab. And you can change the TDP, the frame rate, and anything else you need to adjust the performance and the battery usage. And that's just incredible. That's like a wet dream for any gaming PC user. And especially if you have a handheld PC like the Steam Deck, it just supplies you with all the tools you need in one simple place. And that's always a breath of fresh air to go back to, I'll be honest. But of course, you've heard all the positive things I have to say about the ROG Ally in terms of power and battery. It does have its positives as well. And number 9 would have to be the Steam Deck's analog sticks. They're just in a better position than the ROG Allies. The ROG Ally analog sticks positioning and feel remind me of the Xbox Series controllers. But the Steam Deck's analog sticks kind of feel like the PlayStation 5's controllers. And that's the best controller you can get in the market right now. So naturally, going back to those and having that comfortable feel with both analog sticks being in symmetrical positions at such a centered area on the Steam Deck just feels so much better than the ROG Ally's opposing analog stick positions. And while playing FPSs, especially on the ROG Ally, you kind of need to shift your right hand like you do with the Xbox 360 controller. But I feel like you need to do it just a little more on the ROG Ally. Like they could have made the analog stick slightly higher, but it's kind of the same thing on the Nintendo Switch, which isn't the best thing to compare to because that is by far the most uncomfortable controller I've ever used. But the ROG Ally's controls feel more like a Switch Pro controller, so it's still a compliment. But every once in a while, I just want to go back to the Steam Deck's analog sticks because my right thumb just gets tired sometimes. And number 8 is kind of a similar problem, but it's while you're going into desktop mode on the ROG Ally, you have to use the analog stick and the trigger to select everything, while the Steam Deck doesn't have this issue. Even though the touchscreen on the ROG Ally is leagues better than the Steam Deck's, the Steam Deck's trackpad makes scrolling through desktop mode just as seamless as gaming mode for the most part. The trackpad is exceptionally accurate, and I always have a good time scrolling through desktop mode, even though I don't like Linux anywhere near how much I like Windows, but that's not the point. The trackpads themselves makes moving files from folder to folder very easy, even though Linux and the way it divides the folders and everything is a bit different than what I'm used to. The trackpads make everything that much more easy. And number 7 is kind of a random one, but there really isn't a lot of different types of cases for the ROG Ally, and all the cases look ugly and they don't look practical at all. I'm still waiting for some kind of case that comes with a stand, but for right now I have a Steam Deck case amongst all of the other Steam Deck cases that I have, which are incredible. It's kind of hard to pick between all of the accessories, but Steam Deck has a ton of accessories at its disposal, including cases with stands. So I just sometimes lay on my bed and put the Steam Deck on its stand and just play it like that. While with the ROG Ally, I need to put it inside of the case and have this awkward sort of standing position where the vents are hitting the top of the case, and I never feel safe with that, especially with all of these SD card issues that are going on with heat dissipation. I would rather get some kind of case that has a stand for my ROG Ally, but for now, my Steam Deck has that, and that's why sometimes I just play it, because the Steam Deck has all the cases and all the cool cases too. This thing was meant to be highly customizable, even though it's already big, and that does take away from it a little bit more. So I do play my ROG Ally a lot more in just handheld mode opposed to tabletop mode like the Steam Deck. And most of the time I don't really think of having a stand on ROG Ally because I could just pick it up and play. And it's lightweight enough and small enough to not really make me think about a stand of any kind. But the Steam Deck screen is slightly bigger, so putting it in tabletop mode with the stand makes a lot more sense than with an ROG Ally anyway, because the screen is slightly smaller. But it is higher resolution, so you want to get up close and personal with ROG Ally. While with the Steam Deck, the games kind of look better further away from your eyes because that 720p washed out image and screen that Valve included with the Steam Deck. Now, number 6, surprisingly this early, would have to be Steam OS. It's still easily one of the most accessible operating systems for a handheld PC, making the Steam Deck shine the second Steam OS loads up, while ROG Ally loads things faster, but you still have to go through Windows, and it's not as brainless as Steam OS. You can just go to the giant picture of your game and click on that, and then just press the giant play button, and there you go, you played your games just like you would on a Nintendo Switch. Having that ease of access and just mindless navigation through your games library makes SteamOS a gem in the handheld PC gaming space, especially. And even though the ROG Ally docks anytime, anywhere without any fault, while the Steam Deck sometimes just doesn't connect properly, and it still can't connect to my 4K TV for some reason, while the ROG Ally can just do it, having that gaming mode option with the Steam Deck makes the docked experience feel more like a console experience when it works. Because with the Steam Deck, I still have to unplug the mini HDMI cable and plug it back in. I haven't done that once on the ROG Ally, and I have done that probably 300 times with the Steam Deck. Whatever screen or monitor I use, I just stay having to unplug and replug HDMI cables, and it's so annoying. But I can't deny how cool the gaming mode looks and how much it reminds me of playing my consoles, but it's not a console, it's a handheld PC. So it's a surreal experience, to say the least. Now for number 5, I've kind of already mentioned this, but I wanted to make it a point all on its own, and that is the adjustable FSR. Having different types of FSR settings, like full FSR and controlling the sharpness with the integer option, which is how I play Doom Eternal, it's just incredible to have all of those little micro options with the FSR feature on the Steam Deck. While with the ROG Ally, you need to set the resolution yourself, so that means you need to go into display settings, go all the way down to resolution, which is kind of hard to find because they always call it something different every single time, and then you need to go to advanced settings to change something manually, or you can just go to command center and kind of change your resolution there. But again, the Steam Deck's gaming mode and FSR options makes changing the resolution seamless. Of course, you can just change it while you're playing the game itself, but with gaming mode you can just adjust FSR and all of a sudden the game looks like it's playing at 1080p if you're docking it. It's just awesome to have that feature broken down into so many accessible parts. I've never seen anything like it, and I do appreciate having that option with the Steam Deck. It definitely makes ROG Ally's command center look lackluster because you just switch between 2 resolutions. You can limit the FPS if you want, but sometimes it doesn't work. You can't really mess with the refresh rate because there is variable refresh rate, which is something I wish the Steam Deck had again, but the Steam Deck has manual refresh rates, so you can put it to like 44 hertz if you want. Having that complete control is really cool, and it makes me just want to go into any game on the Steam Deck and just mess with it real quick for maybe about 2 hours. And moving on to number 4, it's gotta be the way the Steam Deck looks. It just looks futuristic and naturally appealing to me. And I added some personal touches on my Steam Deck, so it's fully customized. Just going back and appreciating all the work I put into the Steam Deck's aesthetic, and its accessories add to that already futuristic looking aesthetic. So I just love the way my Steam Deck looks. I guess I'm attracted to it, question mark, with a little fear. But yeah, sometimes the Steam Deck just looks really cool and I just want to play it. Even though the screen's semi-disappointing, I still have a really good time just playing the thing because it is very well built, just like the ROG Ally. Now with number 3, I have to go back to the SteamOS and gaming mode, because you can fully customize this thing with plugins, and the plugins are just masterful. Seeing gaming mode displayed on the screen with all the customizations I put into it, like the obsidian color, the red and white, the larger borders, everything together just makes it look so unique and personalized to me specifically. And I could still personalize and customize the crap out of it if I want. So docking it with all of those customizations, literally the last time I played something on my Steam Deck, which was a couple days ago, I just looked at all the work I put in to the customized home screen and I was just in awe. I couldn't believe how cool it looked, especially compared to something like the Windows 11 desktop or big picture mode, which is just pretty much basic SteamOS with the blue and gray everywhere. And I really don't like those two colors together. So having black and red is really what I'm used to. But it is cool to have Armory Crate, which naturally has black and red, and it has the RGB lighting. So there's that. You see, they are two very different things, but they're just as good as one another, because I think the customizable home screen is just as cool as the RGB lighting and the way Armory Crate looks on the ROG Ally. It would be really cool if you could customize it a little more, but for now I have the Steam Deck for that. So moving on to number 2. It's got to be the fact that I use the Steam Deck as a master controller with all of my PCs. So it's kind of a natural second controller for me. And that makes it easier to play emulated Switch titles like Mario 3D World. When those damn touchscreen sections come around, I just use the trackpad or touchscreen on the Steam Deck and take care of those sections real quick with the Steam Deck's remote play mode. So I would say the remote play on the Steam Deck is really cool, but it's the mixture of the trackpads, the macro buttons, because the macro buttons do feel a lot better, and there are more customizable buttons on the back of the Steam Deck than there are in the ROG Ally. Even though I like how the ROG Ally's customizable buttons pop out, sometimes I kind of press it by mistake. So it's nice to have them a little more flush on the Steam Deck because it's not as easily pressable. And having the full arsenal of buttons, trackpads, analog sticks, and customizable buttons on the back with the touchscreen makes playing Nintendo Switch games and Wii U games so much easier and just seamless. And yes, I also use the trackpads to do my taxes. And I was going to mention this at the beginning of the video because it just aggravates me, and it's what enabled me to make the video in the first place. The number one reason I go back to my Steam Deck in frustration over the ROG Ally is the Steam Deck's beautiful sleep mode. I can just pop in and out of any game I want, while with the ROG Ally, it seems to have some kind of insomnia or something. Windows 11 is by far one of the worst operating systems for sleep mode. Sometimes my ROG Ally just doesn't want to sleep unless I hit hibernate or sleep manually on Windows 11. I can't just press the button sometimes. It just ignores it for some reason. But Windows 11 has done this with so many of my computers, with my past ROG computer that I got 10 years ago, and even my most recent Alienware X14 laptop. Sometimes it just stays on all night, and I have an 8TB hard drive connected to one of them, so when it turns on, it makes a lot of noise because that hard drive is huge. So it's really annoying sometimes to have that attached to my ROG Ally or any Windows gaming laptop, and for it to just suddenly wake up like it had a nightmare or something. It's slightly concerning, and recently it's been getting a bit ridiculous. Seriously, Microsoft, learn how to put your operating system to sleep, because we're down 10 years and so far, no luck. While the Steam Deck has absolutely zero problems in this region. In fact, it absolutely excels at sleep mode. The Steam Deck has a Tempur-Pedic bed, while the ROG Ally is sleeping on deadly springs or is shown some kind of nightmare fuel seconds before it goes to sleep. I don't know what's going on there. The ROG Ally is like scared of the dark or something. I'm not sure why it's scared of the dark when it has those insanely bright night lights on the top of it. I actually have to cover the lights. They should dim those lights like they did with the Steam Deck, because at first the Steam Deck was a bit annoying when it came to its charger or power LED light. And the ROG Ally has two, one to indicate power and one to indicate more power. I don't know why it has two actually. It could have just changed colors, like green if you're charging. Anyway, but yes, because of all of these reasons, and absolutely just these reasons, I don't find myself going back to the Steam Deck because a game just plays better on it. I think games on the ROG Ally and Steam Deck play either the same or they play a lot better on the ROG Ally, and that's really all I care about. But there are certain instances where I'm just a little frustrated with it because it's just not acting right. So I occasionally go back to my Steam Deck in frustration for the lack of certain features the ROG Ally just doesn't have. I'm still having an incredible time with both, and I still highly recommend the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck, mostly equally. I guess I'll cover that in a separate video. But yeah, let me know if there are certain features about the ROG Ally that just make you run right back into the Steam Deck's arms. And I know for the most part, a lot of people are going to say gaming mode, but if you have any kind of unique reason why you game on the Steam Deck over the ROG Ally sometimes, or most of the time, let me know in the comments below. But yeah, it's good to have something to lean on when you get a little frustrated with something else. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one. Later.